My recent videos have been kind of a shit show. Between Basalt's Ben doing a tournament and breaking his arm, and then having Josh do the same thing, but with his knee. These guys have been putting on a clown fiesta, making my channel look like a fake jiu-jitsu channel. However, there's one man that wants to undo all those wrongs, and he's been on a tournament series before. Matt is no joke as a blue belt competitor. He signed up for 4 different divisions, and let's see how they look.
We get started with Matt in the blue belt absolute division as he's facing off against discount Miles Morales. The battle starts off quickly as both men are looking for better hand control to set up their takedowns. Matt secures an overhook with his left arm, but Spider-Man makes a mistake by going for an outside trip and he gets Uchimata'd. But Spider-Man has that superhero speed and is able to scramble out and get on Matt's back instead. Despite Matt having the great start to the match, he's now defending against a takedown and he gets thrown down to the ground. Now Matt wants to create distance, so he's pushing against his head, and his opponent's trying to beat him to the punch by passing around the legs, but Matt's able to catch the leg just fast enough and throw him into his guard as he sets up a triangle. His opponent lowers his posture, so this allows him to bring his leg over the back, but Matt goes belly down looking towards the armbar, and then his opponent is forced to go back towards the guard. The elbow is still in danger from the armbar, but when Matt tries to clear the foot, his opponent rolls with him and he loses the triangle. But he must have some ape-like strength because as his opponent sits up, he grabs onto the wrist and throws it right into a Kimura. He also decides to impersonate Marcelo Garcia by flicking his butterfly hook to create some better leverage so he can attack with a Kimura. He rolls through all the way to the back and then he brings his leg over the face so he can transition into an armbar. And continuing his brutal assault of submissions, he then switches his legs so he can go right into the triangle, and this is going to be his opponent's downfall. He's pulling down on the shin and he's able to get the submission as his opponent can no longer fight off both the armbar and the triangle at the same time.
And look at that. You can win a match without any theatrics. No need to kick someone in the face. You can shake your opponent's hand. And everything is a good day. Matt is finally making me feel like I can take off my clown suit from having all these other hooligans on my channel.
But let's not waste time celebrating. Matt had another match and it's time to look right into it. After I'm able to pass the referee's guard, we can see that Matt's doing a nice job snapping the head down and he brings his opponent down to the mat towards the front head. He's attempting to lace up a far side Kimura, but then he decides to walk it back, and this is going to allow him to open up the hips so he can take the back. But he threw the wrong hook in first. The top hook is generally a lot easier to get, and you may be able to pull them over to the correct side by using this top hook, but generally you want the bottom hook so you can prevent their hip from going over your leg. Matt knows that he will lose position, so he tries to bring the leg over the far hip, but his opponent turns into him and Matt tries to go for a belly down armbar. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to control the elbow long enough, and after a little bit of scrambling, they end up in open guard. And as long as these legs stay open, the body lock that Matt's attempting is the right call. Matt shoves the right leg down, then follows it up with a beautiful sequence by going first into the Kimura, running around, and then taking the armbar. And if you get stuck in this position, this is how you can finish. Matt's opponent is bridging into him, so he can fall towards the head to attack the weakest muscles at the shoulder to break the grip. He also has his left arm in the lock, so he won't be able to grab the leg anyway. Falling towards the head will give him a lot of leverage to be able to break this grip and finish the match. Instead, Matt looks for a shimmying technique by trying to move the arm to the side, and that's not working, so he pushes his foot through the hole, locking up a triangle grip. He sits up to create a better angle, and then he falls back into the guard, but this is on his own terms. Everything's looking really tight, and he's going under the leg to try and create a better angle on the choke. But his opponent's carotid arteries must be extremely hard to find, because despite this choke looking extremely tight, Matt had to bail on the triangle attempt and instead switch to the armbar. But he failed at this attack as well as his left leg came off the head and he had to scoot out the back door to avoid a bad position. Some footsie battles went on for a while, and we have to remember that straight attacks were legal, but heel hooks were not. Matt eventually establishes a cross inside Ashi, but without heel hooks, this position isn't nearly as strong as you would think. He brings the leg across his belly into regular inside Ashi, and he has some real choices from here. I'm yelling at him to transition to the calf slicer, such as we see here, wink wink, but his opponent falls to the side, and to be fair, I've never seen Matt land a calf slicer in the gym, so I'm not sure what his experience was like on trying to finish it. But Matt continues with his onslaught style of always going for a new submission by going towards a belly down ankle lock. He doesn't quite have it deep enough for this to apply enough pressure, but he uses it to come up and then he jumps into a flying Kimura attack as he passes the guard. He continues to attack the arm all the way through until he can bring his leg over the head, and now he's stuck in spider web. Now Matt's trying to do better than he did before by falling towards the head, but his opponent gets to his knees and he's not fast enough to go belly down or to get his leg into the armpit, so he loses the armbar. Now his opponent tries to circle around his guard and he's keeping good pressure on the shin, but Matt throws his hips up and it wouldn't be Matt if he wasn't trying another submission. He looked towards the armbar, but it was a bit too loose and they had to reset in the middle. And as his opponent tried to leapfrog over the guard, Matt went straight into X guard and then he started going out the back door. He uses some over-under grips, which is fantastic for maintaining control and also great for transitions. The under grip allows him to scoop into any footlock that he could attack with, but his opponent decided just to fall over. Matt isn't fast enough to hit the berimbolo, but he definitely has a rolling back take available to him until he decides to go for this ankle lock. And once I'm finally able to get the camera away from the referee, we can see that Matt ended up on top after going for that foot attack and he's going to fly right through this guard. Then he steps over the belly for his mount attack, does the chair sit to take the back. Then he's able to trap the arm with his leg and he starts going towards the rear naked choke. He's attacking the far side wrist at the same time as his opponent is forced to tap as he had no hands to defend. Our boy goes 2-0 and we'll have to see in the next video where he goes from here.
Now I recently just got back from vacation, where I was rolling with some real killers, tapping out some professors, doing a collaboration, and even getting injured. So if you want to see the new content coming to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything.